very much a work in progress.
Yeah. Could you also go back to the feedback loop with the FNN, the fuzzy neural network?
This one?
Yes.
These?
Well, that the next diagram. Wait, no. Go back. Go.
Oh, this?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
So like, you're saying you're training on the neural net to do the tuning to be like smart tuning. Is that what you're saying?
So you want it to self-tune,
Okay.
right? You can't trust the neural network to self-tune. You can't trust. So there's two problems. Fuzzy controllers, if you get your expert knowledge right, the perfect, the spot on, but you can't reprogram them, you can't retune them. So what you do is you rip the insides out, and you kind of replace them with an artificial neural network, right? And then you use those and balance weights so that it starts to self-tune. Screw the issues. Make sense?
Yes.
It's kind of a combination of like a fuzzy system and with like some neural networks on the inside. People like being testers.
You had another diagram of like the controller system. It was a little bigger than this. I'm not sure.
This one?
No, not this one. It had a PI controller.
This is
Component
the
on
PI
there?
control.
No, like it was literally like a block that just said PI controller, and I just remember specifically because there was no input to it, and I wanted to ask like what was the input to that controller on this one?
This one?
Yes.
Oh, the reference is in the feedback loop, so the input to the fuzzy controller is coming from the system process.
Okay.
Right? This is a model-based system, so the first thing you have to do is get a full physics model, right? And then you use that model, right, to model the system. Then you're going to run some simulations, and you're just going to run a function system profiles, right? And then once you've got that right, then you can build the actual controller, and then you put them together so you simulate it, and you start putting real inputs into it. And
Right.
then you implement it.
Okay. I understand.
Make sense?
Yes.
So then with this, so you're like all of the components of the aircraft then, right? Or is it just component by component?
No. We have to have the full physics model of the aeroplane for this to
okay.
be even. Now, when we say that, this is a hybrid electric propulsion system, and it actually, I mean, there's a couple of models, but I mean, will this actually be like an airplane that we fly? No, right? But the system will model the airplane.
And then in your case, what you're optimizing for is that stall margin, staying within some kind of boundaries there.
So once this is a functional controller, we actually use it to control transients during takeoff and taxi, right? So when you accelerate an airplane, it's like 15 seconds after you leave the gate, 15 seconds after you get on the runway, you then have 5 seconds to get to 95% of your power, right? So there's a couple of problems here. One of them is, when do you use the turbofan? When do you use the motor? When do you use both? How do you switch between them, right? And then there's some architectural problems, like if you're gonna put a motor in an airplane, like motors are very heavy. You need batteries, right? Right?
Sure,
So
yeah.
theoretically, you could have like this huge motor, but then you just added weight to your airplane, so now you're all imbalanced again. So Collins and Georgia, actually Collins and Pratt & Whitney are resolving the architecture problem. Once they've resolved that architecture problem, then we've got to get a full physics envelope for the entire airplane. We know each and every component, we know how it all fits together, and we know what the physics envelope is, right? So then we can actually model the aircraft without the aircraft, right? And there's actually, you can go online and do like CMAPS 40K, which is a full flight simulator. It's very similar, right? Except it's not hybrid electric propulsion, and it's using like a 40-pound engine. So these are like really useful. But like I said, one of the things that we've done is actually use it to drive the design of the components. And a lot of these are additive manufacturing, so like the new turbines, the new combustor, and the sensors, additive manufacturing, so they're actually developing like new materials and new sensors, so that we can place them in airplanes, so we can start to like measure stuff that hasn't been measured before. So this. So like a lot of the controls basically relies on, or a lot of the engine physics relies on like the inlet temperatures and the pressure at the inlet temperatures and at the high pressure combustor, but you can't actually measure those right now. So in an airplane, they kind of have these maximum limiters. It says, oh, if the thrust goes over a certain amount, or if this temperature goes over a certain amount, then we're just gonna stop it right there. And what that means is that the constraints are overly conservative, because if one limiter kicks in, they all kick in, right? And so the idea is, if you can actually sense, if you can get these temperatures and these pressures at like these sensitive points, then you don't have to use that maximum limit system anymore. You can literally know exactly what your operating temperature is.
So you said they're making turbines additively?
So they have a next turbine generator, and I can't go into Karen research, but yeah, so what they're actually doing is Mesoscribe are designing these sensors that you can actually put on these turbines, and that part's additive. The turbines, I believe, are made out of steel or something, right?
Okay.
But they're gonna mass
Not the
them onto.
turbines.
Yeah, there's some
Okay.
weird way that they like merge them together. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
I don't know if you mentioned it earlier, but in the diagram that Robert had a question about with the full controller,
Mhm.
you had the smart controller and then just the regular PID, and
Yeah.
you said you were switching between controls.
Yeah, because a PID is, so one rule in controls is don't fix what's not broken.
Mm-hmm.
And what is not broken is a PID for steady state. If you're in a steady state, all you need is a PID. The problem with a PID is it's not robust under transients, right? So, if you've got turbulence, or you have to make a really, fast maneuver or whatever, the response time of the PID is really slow, right? And so that's when you need to basically probably use the motor to bring it back under control. But again, this is a trial and error thing, because now we've got to figure out when to use the turbofan, when to use the motor, and when to use both, right? So if you cruise under 50,000 feet, can you use the motor, or do you need a turbofan? We don't know yet.
Is that like a training, like a thing that research within itself?
Well,
about-
hybrid electric propulsion is like kind of new, right? So Sugar, I don't know whether you've seen NASA Sugar. It's a very small hybrid aircraft. So NASA have been working on this for about 10, 15 years. So there are a couple of prototypes, but this is actually for single passenger airplane. So it's a lot different from like flying an electric drone, or like a little 2-person machine, like airplane like Sugar. So yeah, the actual physics of it are not well known right now.
So your controller that's used in the design phase, is that also going to be like a live controller for?
When the controller is finished, it's a controller, so you
It's
can
a-
just
yeah.
put it into the plane and let it control it.
And then it's going to be running on the Kintex 28 nanometer FPGA.
At that stage, it could go onto an ASIC. We don't know.
Okay.
I mean, right now we are continually tweaking controls, right?
Mhm, mhm.
So you don't want to mask it to an ASIC or anything like that. So
Sure.
we don't really know, what sort of architecture it's going to end up on. And right now it's got to be kind of mobile, because the turbine is at Penn State and the combustor is at Georgia Tech. And at some stage we've got to put all of these things together. Any other questions?
I mean, you did just mention it. I don't know if you can mention it right now, but how does this? You said like this type of problem needs like a big warehouse. So is that where Brookhaven falls in?
No, this is not a warehouse problem.
I mean, sorry, like whatever you were talking about, like the problem, like you need like,
Controls?
not just this problem, but like
Quantum
the
controls.
yes,
Right. Well, you went to the interconnect lab, right?
yeah.
What did you see? What did you see?
I've seen the whole entire like the quantum network that they had, and like the test bed that they were setting up.
Did you see a nice, pretty lab with just very clean, with no wires and no cables? Is that what you meant? Or did
No.
you see walk into a lab full of wires and cables?
A lab full of wires.
So,
and
yeah, that's.
Racks, and then Siemens Labs components.
Right?
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Kinda.
What is the question?
My question was like where Brookhaven falls in. That's what I was saying.
So, we're pretty much working on the same problems, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna
It's like,
stop you
yeah,
for a
it's
second.
like we discussed yesterday or a couple days ago, right? So you have large problems, you need large teams, we then split the problems in parts, so we try to tackle it, but no. And each of us brings a different angle to the problem, a different infrastructure and possible solutions. That's what we do when we partner with whatever collaborators we have in many collaborations. Eric can tell you, do you know many 100 people working on the same problem?
Yeah, if not, if not even more. But yeah, that's an international collaboration, so it's universities and labs.
So big
every
problems
country in the
needs
world.
really
Yeah.
big team. But to be effective, you also need to organize the team in a way that you can tackle the problem, you know, in a very organized, controlled, and focused way. Otherwise, there's many people having fun, but nothing advanced.
Right. Yeah. So Gabriella's philosophy is in non-critical just more focus.
Yeah,
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
so-
that's why you see, when I showed you the quantum experiment, you didn't see like 20 people in a room. You saw like 6 very handpicked people, right? Working on one problem together.